When the Emperor initiated the Primarch project, he envisioned a galaxy where his sons would all rule side by side, having known each other since childhood, and therefore having an unbreakable bond wrought into iron will by education and martial training under the best Terra has to offer. Oh, what a dream! But a chaos vortex or some crazy shit happened, and yeeted the 20/21 baby Primarchs to different worlds across the Milky Way. So the Master of Mankind started the Great Crusade with the aim of reuniting humanity and at the same time reclaiming his lost sons that had to grow and develop without his initial care. In a way, it was a rite of passage, a ritualistic path that they all had to undergo to survive the harshness of the grimdark all alone and conquer the worlds they crash-landed into, like Superman in a way, but hell-bent on global domination. Some say the Emperor let all this happen so as to let the Primarchs mature and be self-made men. Well, it would make sense though, as you'd rarely see a rich kid making his way onto the top in life. More often than not, they would just become junkies. Anyway, here in this video we will go into the rediscovery of the Primarchs in ascending order and talk a bit on the worlds they were in, and what were their status upon reclamation. The timeline would be according to the Horus Heresy website. Anyway, let's get into it. Number 1. 801 M30 Horus Lupica. The first to be found by the Emperor, Horus Lupica was found in Chthoniya, as some accounts say, but the true facts about his discovery is a highly guarded secret. Some say that he had always been by the Emperor's side even during the reconquering of the Sol system at the very first stages of the Great Crusade. Anyway, in the more widely accepted lore, Horus grew up in the Chthonian hive world, a few light years away from Terra, matured in its hive cities and grew up in a rough and tough manner, going up the ranks of the techno-barbarian gangs of that planet. And when the Emperor found him, he gladly accepted his fate and led the 16th Legion. Number 2. 819 of M30 Lehman Ross. Landing on the icy death world of Ferris, the infant Primarch of the Space Wolves survived and was raised by a gigantic she-wolf. Discovered by a Fenrisian tribesman, he was brought before King Tengr, who recognized his potential. The Primarch, named Lehman of the Ross, grew to be a formidable warrior, succeeding Tengr as King of Fenris. And as king, Lehman's legendary feats spread across Fenris, catching the attention of the Emperor. The Emperor arrived there in that planet in disguise and challenged Lehman to 3 contests: eating, drinking, and combat. Lehman Ross won the first 2 because he was a drunkard and a glutton, but the Emperor revealed his true form for the 3rd challenge and defeated Lehman in combat with a single blow. Then Ross swore fealty to the Emperor, becoming one of his sons. Number 3. 821 of M30 Redacted, presumably the 2nd Legion Primarch. Nothing is known as to where or how he was found, but the date of his discovery can be ascertained as he was one of the 8 Primarchs to be found by the Emperor. Sadly, due to the edict obliteration, all his deeds and accounts have been redacted. Number 4. 824 of M30 Ferris Manners. As a baby, he crashed onto the unstable feral world of Medusa near the Eye of Terra. The impact caused seismic upheavals, reshaping the planet. Years later, Ferris emerged unharmed from the icy northern wilderness, becoming a warrior among the nomadic clans. Medusan legends speak of his feats, battling giants, monsters, and ancient machines. Known as the Gorgon, Ferris claimed dominion over Medusa's clans and was seen as a godlike figure. Under his guidance, the clans improved weaponry and machines, delving into ancient vaults for salvage. When the Emperor arrived during the Great Crusade, Ferris Manus was a revered warlord and sage. He had shaped Medusa's destiny, anticipating his role for the Emperor's grand plan. Number 5. 830 of M30 Fulgrim. Fulgrim's gestation capsule landed on the mining world of Chemos, suffering from perpetual twilight due to a surrounding nebula. Chemos struggled to survive, dependent on interstellar trade for food, but was plagued by warp storms. Scouts from a fortress factory found Fulgrim's capsule and saved him from execution, naming him after a deity. Fulgrim then grew quickly, mastering Chemosian mining technology and rising to a position of leadership. Under his guidance, mining efficiency increased, leading to surplus resources and resurgence of their culture. The planet Chemos' isolation ended when the Emperor's emissaries arrived, and Fulgrim pledged his loyalty to the Emperor with a sword to serve at his father's side for as long as he shall live. Number 6. 832 of M30 Vulcan. Vulcan landed on the death world of Nocturne. Adopted by metal worker named Enbel, Vulcan grew quickly in strength and wisdom, embodying the Promethean cult's prophecies. He defended Nocturne against vicious Dark Eldar, becoming a legendary fireborn champion. The Emperor came there disguised as he did with Lehman Ross, and over 8 days they engaged in superhuman tests of strength and skill, ending in a tie. The final trial was a salamander hunt. Vulcan and the stranger forged weapons and set out to hunt. Vulcan defeated a fire drake, a massive one, but was endangered by a volcanic eruption. The stranger rescued him and revealed himself as the Emperor of Mankind, and then on, he served as the Primarch of the 18th Legion. Number 7. 835 of M30, Rogal Dawn. Rogal Dawn, raised on Inuit, embraced its values and rose to power within the House of Dawn, leading the Inuit cluster. Inuit is a harsh planet enduring perpetual darkness due to its dying star. Its people are resilient and skilled warriors, reshaped by their unforgiving environment. These people form a stellar empire known for its strength and conquest. Dawn became the leader of this small empire and was a master tactician and strategist right from the start. Upon the arrival of the Imperial starships during the Great Crusade, Dawn greeted the Emperor aboard the Phalanx, an enormous starship that he had discovered, and right from the start he knew that this was his father, and his rightful place was by his side leading the 7th Legion. Number 8. 837 of M30, Rebooted Gilman. Gilman's capsule landed on Macrack, a planet with a proud society but a failing star empire. Adopted by a noble called Conrad Gilman, he rapidly developed exceptional skills, excelling in war and knowledge and logistics. He led an expeditionary force to pacify a sector called Illyrium, earning respect from his people, and after quelling a rebellion, he became the ruler of the Ultramar interstellar region. Under Gilman's rule, Macrack's economy was restructured, technology shared, and its armed forces became formidable and well uniformed. So prosperity blossomed as unity prevailed under his unassailable leadership. So when the Emperor arrived, he was impressed with his son, and he did not make him go through the test as he did with Vulcan or Russ. When the G-Man learned of his true lineage, he gladly bent the knee to serve his father. Number 9. 840 of M30, Magnus the Red. Unique among all the Primarchs, Magnus remembered his origins and maintained psychic communications with the Emperor during his gestation period. When he was cast to Prospero, which is a world of psychers, he thrived in this place full of psychic powers and abilities, and became a leader. Magnus defeated various psychic predatory species and united warring sorcerer cults, and rebuilt Prospero into a magnificent city. He pursued knowledge of the Immaterium, building a great library and delving into the warp. And when the Emperor arrived, Magnus embraced his true father, and they jointly studied the Immaterium, with the Emperor warning against its perils. Number 10. 843 of M30, Sanguineous. The infant Sanguineous landed on Baal Secundus, not actually a planet but a moon, a part of a twin moon system over a planet called Baal. Here, the pure-blooded tribe called the Blood discovered him, and despite his angelic appearance, they almost killed him for his mutant wings. However, the tribe's innate compassion prevailed, and Sanguineous was spared and raised as an omen of good luck. Rapidly maturing, he became a leader and defender of his people against mutant threats. Worshipped as a god, he reunited the tribes and created a respite of hope and civilization on Baal Secundus. When the Emperor arrived during his Great Crusade, Sanguineous' speech moved his heart, confirming his identity as one of the lost sons, the lost Primarchs. Sanguineous, through his ability of foresight, seeing into the future, knew of his father's arrival and knelt before the Emperor, whose presence brought forth alabaster flowers from the toxic soil of Baal. Number 11. 846 of M30, Lionel Johnson. His capsule landed in the depths world of Caliban. After being discovered by a hunting party of knights, he was raised as a knight himself and excelled in combat and leadership. Lionel Johnson proved his prowess by leading a crusade, a successful one, against the monstrous great beasts that plagued Caliban's forest. His tactical genius, strategies, and victories earned him the title of Grand Master of the Order. The Emperor and a small band of his legionnaires, Astarte scouts from the 1st Legion, arrived on Caliban after detecting psychic emanations from one of the Primarchs. L. Johnson, known as the Lion, felt a deep connection with the Emperor and pledged his loyalty. The Emperor appointed him as the commander of the 1st Legion, renamed the Dark Angels, and inducted Caliban into the Imperium. Number 12. 849 of M30, Perturabo. He landed on the civilized world of Olympia. The tyrant of Olympia, Damocles, recognized Perturabo's exceptional abilities and offered him patronage and protection in exchange for service and loyalty. Perturabo quickly rose through the ranks, becoming a brilliant warlord known as the Hammer of Olympia. He brought victory after victory to Olympia, innovating in warfare and siege tactics. Despite his success, internal threats and assassination attempts plagued Rabba's rule. He maintained his aloof and mistrustful nature, driven by an eerie connection to a strange stellar maelstrom in the sky, and when the Emperor arrived during the Great Crusade, he was informed of his true nature and willingly joined the Imperium. Number 13. 854 of M30, Mortarion. Landing on a planet called Barbarous, he was raised by a powerful warlock called Nekare. Trained in combat and dark arts, Mortarion questioned the oppression of the humans in the planet by warlords, the overlords, kind of hybrids. He escaped and fought against his oppressors and rallied the people to resist. He trained and equipped them to conquer the planet's deadly fog. He encountered a benevolent stranger who offered Mortarion a challenge: defeat Nekare, who unbeknownst to Mori was already under the influence of Nurgle, either defeat him or join the Imperium. Morty then confronted Nekare but was unsuccessful in the fight, and was saved by the Emperor of Mankind, who sliced Nekare with a single strike of his flaming sword. Mortarion then swore fealty to the Emperor, who named him the leader of the 14th Legion, called the Dusk Raiders, and later renamed to the Death Guard in honor of Mortarion's soldiers from that world called Barbarous. Number 14. 857 of M30, Lorgar Aurelian. Lorgar landed on Colchis, a world steeped in religion where a covenant held sway, worshipping chaos gods in benevolent guises. He was discovered by exiled priest called Corpheron and raised in the covenant. Despite being abused in many ways, Lorgar, called the Rain Caller, developed charismatic preaching and strong faith. He rose to prominence, united followers as the Godsworn, and conquered Colchis. A schism then occurred when Lorgar declared a belief in a single god. The schism wars followed, ending with Lorgar seizing control, and when the Emperor and Magnus arrived, Lorgar embraced his father as a messiah, and despite the Emperor's direct command on spreading the atheistic imperial truth, Lorgar and his followers were still intent on spreading their faith of the Emperor as a god, jumping from one religion to another. 15. 865 of M30, Jagathai Khan. Khan landed on Kogoris, a fertile world divided by technology and tribal warfare. A Talaska tribe found Khan, who grew into a warrior of vision and unity. So his adopted father was killed, and he avenged him and united the tribes, forming a Talaska confederacy and fighting to end intertribal warfare on the planet. Khan led battles and defeated all other factions, united Kogoris under his rule, becoming a conqueror and a leader. When the Emperor and the Lunar Wolves arrived just after Khan's conquest, they aptly acknowledged his achievements. Khan, although a conqueror by nature, had to accept a role of servitude to the Emperor's ambitions, which was really an inner struggle against his own nature. Despite appearing overawed, Khan's journals reveal a pragmatic decision, recognizing that the Imperium's advantages and the dire consequences of a position against an unstoppable force. 16. 896 of M30, Conrad Curse. He landed in the night-shrouded planet of Nostromo. His gestation capsule impacted on the planet's largest hive city, leaving a scar in the adamantium strata. Nostromo was a dark and grim world, with a stark divide between the rich and the poor, with rampant crime and constant darkness. Curse grew up alone in the Underhive, surviving through his wits and ruthlessness. He was haunted by dark visions of the future and became a skilled predator. He learned from the darkness around him, becoming a formidable killer, and eventually took it upon himself to bring justice to Nostromo. The Night Haunter, as he was known there, brought a semblance of peace to Nostromo as crime rates plummeted. He eventually became the planet's absolute monarch. When the Emperor of Mankind arrived during the Great Crusade, Curse submitted to his will, despite knowing the grim fate that awaited him due to his vision. The Emperor saw potential in him and offered to take him home, but Curse remained defiant, clinging to his name, the Night Haunter, and also his visions of justice. Number 17. 899 of M30, Angron. He landed on New Seria, a technologically advanced planet ruled by a wealthy elite class. The population suffered in poverty, while gladiatorial death matches distracted them, kinda like Rome back in the day. Angron, discovered by slavers, was forced into the gladiator arena. His fighting prowess increased to berserker levels by the implantation of the butcher's nails in his head. He rose to fame as a fierce fighter, but still developing a code of honor. Eventually, he led a rebellion of fellow gladiators called the Eaters of Cities, and when the Emperor arrived on Nuceria, he offered Angron leadership of the 12th Legion, but he refused, choosing to stay with his comrades. The Emperor, seeing Angron's impending death, teleported him away, and Angron watched as his friends were slaughtered, harboring a deep resentment towards his father for not saving them. he begrudgingly accepted his new role in the Great Crusade, but his anger and wounds would forever mar his relationship with the Emperor. Number 18, 922 of M30, Corvus Corax. Corax was discovered deep beneath the surface of a barren moon called Lycaeus, part of a forge world called Kiavahar. The moon's miners found him and he was raised by slaves who named him Savior. Corax matured quickly and learned from the slaves about the oppressive rule of the tech guilds on Kiavahar. He developed the ability to remain unnoticed by willing observers not to see him, using it to gather information and plan for future rebellion. As Corax reached adulthood, he orchestrated a well-conceived uprising against the tech guilds. He led the slaves in a successful campaign, eventually overthrowing their oppressors, about the same time as the atomic bombardment of the planet Kiavahar took place. The Emperor arrived alone to meet Corax, and their conversation took a long time, and details of it remain uncertain. Shortly afterwards, the Emperor left, leaving Corax to lead his newfound followers and continue his journey as a Primarch. Number 19, 927 of M30, Redacted, presumably the 11th Legion Primarch. Nothing is known as to where or how he was found, but the date of his discovery can be as certain as he was one of the last to be found by the Emperor, and the last one to be officially announced was Alpharis Omegon, so he is the second last and hence 927 of M30. Sadly, due to the edict obliteration, all his deeds and accounts have been deleted. And lastly, number 20, 981 of M30, Alpharis Omegon. The same with Horus. Alpharis and Omegon's discovery is a highly guarded secret. There are theories that Alpharis was never really transported away to other planets like his brothers, but he was stuck in Terra and hence the first to be found. He was said to have been trained to be the ultimate infiltrator, even disguising as one of the Astartes in quite a few of his brother's legions. He was also constantly tested to infiltrate the Imperial Palace, something that he really enjoyed, but that's just theories. And since his brother Omegon was still lost, his discovery was only announced officially when the other twin was discovered in 981 of the 30th millennium in an unnamed planet. But as of the lore of the Alpha Legion or Alpharis Omegon, nothing is really certain. They might be twin Primarchs, they might be just Astartes. One might be a Primarch, the other might be an Astartes warrior. Yeah, nothing is really certain. That's about it. Even their discovery, even their origins. Diving into it will just get you mind-fucked. So I see that many of you haven't subscribed yet. It would do us a huge favor if you would only smash the red button and also like the video to push us through in the YouTube algorithm. Pretty please? And while you're at it, bang on that bell icon as well for notifications. Till the next time, take care boys.